see some people in the profits and loss area when they take an L, it's always because they, air quotes, thought it was going to do something else. Am I right? How many times have you guys stayed in a bad trade because you thought, well, I know it's going down, but
too many touches and to break.
Yep.
The other day.
Yep.
The other day.
Yep.
That it was long in the
Good morning with LGM Ken.
Yeah, you'll go, oh, it didn't bounce there. Oh, maybe it will here. Nah, well, it didn't. Okay, well, maybe here. Oh, well, you know what? Damn it. Now I'm down 30% on the trade. Well, you know what? I'm already in 30%. Let's just go ahead. I can just wait just a little bit more. It's no big deal. If it, oh, whoops, now it's 50%. Well, you know what? I didn't go that big. Oh, 70%. Oh, knife drop. Damn it. 75%. Well, I'm in it now. I might as well just hold on the rest of the day. Drops down 85%. You get out. It rebounds. And then at the end of the day, like, oh my gosh, I just would have stayed in.
Too many times.
Yep. So how about this? How about the second it breaks the rules of what it's supposed to do, you just get your ass out and you reassess. I need everybody to follow the rules that are in here. Every single time that I see anybody that is not succeeding, the first thing you can always see is they broke the rules. Sorry, coach, I broke the rules. I can't believe I did that again. How about today? Just start out with, I'm not going to break the freaking rules, right? The rules are there for a reason, okay? If you haven't heard my rules, I've got a good list of them, and you have to follow all. You don't get to cherry pick my rules, okay? You need to come in with an empty cup. I don't care how many courses. I don't care how many online activities you've been a part of. I don't care how many rooms you've been in. I don't even give a how long you've been trading. You need to come in with an empty cup, okay? Because guess what? If you were the world's greatest trader, you wouldn't be watching me right now. In this room, with me, a real professional coach that I've trained millions of people, inside of here, you will learn to be an actual stock market trader and not a call-out chaser, okay? Now, I know you see a lot of people out there selling you stuff, brand new kids. I've been trading for 4 years, so I'm going to sell a Discord and all this other bullshit. Well, that's not us. We've made over 10 millionaires inside of this room, and 8 of them had never traded a day in their life. Nobody has those statistics. I don't care where you go. I don't care how many YouTube subscribers they have. I don't care how long they've been in the game doing training. None of that. The proof is in the pudding. Oh, coach, well, how is your trading? My trading doesn't mean so my proof in the pudding is how are you doing? How is my community doing? Not how I am doing. So if you guys are looking to just watch somebody trade and not learn how to trade, there's plenty of people that'll do that and brag about how great they did in their trading and the success that they did in trading. You're not going to get that in here. My job is to train you.
Welcome, everybody. Uh-oh, let me turn it down. We're jamming over here. Palma had us in the club.
I like being in the club.
Me too, right? Let's see here. It's going to pop one, and then it's going to... There we go. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Mindset Master Monday. I am Dawn, your host of American Dream Trading, the Aftermarket. And we got a special treat for you guys tonight. We have Palm Coast here, and we're not going to get into the logistics of where his account is. If you're an American Dream Trading member, you know. But what we are going to do is welcome him to the panel. Hey, Palm.
Howdy.
How are you, my brother? How was your vacation?
Nice. Very relaxing.
Sweet.
Good to disconnect for a little while, as always, right? Unplug.
Yes. Oh, we got a joiner. Hold on, let me get him in. All right, I got the link down there. Everybody, come on in and join. Marlena, how are you?
I think you might be muted, Marlena.
Have you met Marlena?
Nope.
Sorry about that. I was muted. Thank you.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
She's been on the panel a couple nights now, back to
Oh,
back.
nice.
So here's Palm
nice.
Coast.
Oh, hey, Palm. Awesome.
Yeah. Yep. So Palm, today was that was such an amazing morning with Coach. I was supposed to be editing, but I couldn't. He was just giving so much knowledge, you know what I mean? And that's just something that I need, you know what I mean? Because I've kind of taken a step back from trading to focus on editing, but also learning at the same time while I'm editing, so that when I come back to it, I'm doing things the right way and I'm following the rules, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody else.
Yeah. Normally he kind of gives out a few little free samples during the promo part of the morning, but man, he just kept hammering through all the important stuff this morning and
Yes.
and did it in a very relatable way. So
Yeah.
anybody that tuned in today got more than their free sample at the grocery store, so to speak.
For sure.
I don't think people, if you were new to this, I don't think people could have written fast enough to keep up with that.
No. But those are the kind of lives that draw people in, that make people want to join American Dream Trading.
Yeah, that's a lot of good reasons why.
Yeah. What was that, James?
Sorry, it's clearing my throat.
AI transcript.
Oh, AI transcript, he said, Paul.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, there's all kinds of tools nowadays.
Don't even try to keep up with writing them notes.
Yeah.
So, Palm, anything you want to... Oh, you want to find out what we did? I didn't trade, James. Did you?
I don't want to talk about it.
Wait a minute. Oh, well, we're going to come back to you. Marlena, how'd you do today?
For my first time, I did okay.
You traded first today?
The first time ever.
Real money?
Real money. I $100 account with Weeble.
Okay.
And what I did was I started off, I tried to make my first trade with Clove.
You're going in and out, babe.
Oh, let me see. Can you hear me, guys? Can you guys hear me now?
Yep, that's good.
Better. Okay. So I tried to make my first trade with Clove, and then I realized that I had my stop in place, and you can't have a stop in place when you're in pre-market. So I learned really quickly that wasn't a go. And so I ended up canceling out that because it stays in your working order. It doesn't go all the way through. And so my next one, I tried it again with COGT stocks. Mm-hmm. And then had to cancel that again because I had another issue where it was preventing me because I had a limit price stop in place. And so that didn't work. And so then my third try, I got in with ASST, and I got in at $8.54 at a 1 minute, and then sold at $8.62, made 7 cents off of that, did it again, and purchased it for $8.15 and sold it at $8.40 at a 1 minute. And that was it. 31 cents total for today.
Congratulations.
I love it. Let's give her the bell. Where's the bell? I can't find the damn bell.
That's awesome.
The bell? That is awesome because you're doing the process. Palm, you hear this?
Yeah, that's get in, get green, and then get out. That is assignment number 1 when you're learning. And you just keep doing that, and it's like everything else, your whole life will grow from there. just keep doing that.
Thank you. So
that's how you do it.
And yeah, I feel great. I'm happy I made that little bit, and it wasn't really even about the money. It was just about learning the technique.
It's not supposed to be. That's what people don't get initially when they start, because they come into the market thinking, oh, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to make all this money. No, it's about the process. Coach beats that into us. So does Palm. So does Mark. It's not about the money when you first start. So you were perfect.
green trades, green days, get in, green, get out. And it's kind of funny. It's like you look at the trade and you made, I don't know, what, 7 cents and 37 cents or something.
31 cents. Yep.
Yeah, overall. And
Mhm.
then 40 cents, whatever the total of those was. And then you look at that one trade which you just did in one day with one share, and look at that percentage wise, and you just either met or beat most people's retirement income for a year, like percentage wise.
Yep.
It doesn't seem like a lot, but that's powerful stuff you're learning. It's just so incredible. And
Yep.
it's like, and you can do that in a day, and with a couple trades. And then, it's so exciting to be on the front doorstep of that.
Yeah, I was
Congratulations.
blown away. Thank you, Palm. I was so blown away about it. And I said, oh my gosh, I've been working so hard all my life.
Yeah.
It was mind blowing how things can change real rapidly. And I'm just going to continue to study and acquire as much knowledge as I can and keep on growing from there.
You're going to find some stocks that move like that, not necessarily from $4 to $9, but you're going to find some stocks that move, less than, stocks that are under $12 or $15 that move 30 to 40 cents easily in a day, sometimes 60, 70 cents. And they just do it every day. And it's kind of crazy. And if you think about, if you can capture half of that on a daily basis and learn to do it consistently, and then one turns into two turns into three and stuff, just try not to usually. So I'll give you a peek into the future without having to get spanked. One of the first things that happens is the first thing that day traders experience when they start going down the right road is too big, too fast. So when you start getting a little wobbly, or things are working out and you're kind of like, phew, I made that one, but it was a little breathtaking, dial it back a little bit, back into your comfort zone. It's more important to keep in your comfort zone and then scale that with emotional control than to, keep pounding out the money, because the scaling and everything else comes organically over time. But new business people, new employees, new traders, the number one thing, and you're gonna do it, even despite the fact that I just told you you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it anyway at some point. So you can recognize that trigger when you get there.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I was recognizing my risk management, and I said, it was just at a small scale. It was just only pennies that we were talking about. And I was like, ooh, I was really trying to memorize some of the things that I learned with some of Coach's rules and stuff. And just making sure that I followed as much as I could remember. So what I'm gonna do now is probably write down on a little 5x7 little card and put it next to my computer and remember, okay, Marlena, these are the things that you need to follow in order to make sure you're not doing too much,
Yeah, get that spiral notebook. Make it a journal. You're supposed to journal everything. So yeah.
Yep. And I journaled today in my notes in Google Docs this time. And I copied and pasted the P&Ls and what I did and what I should have did and what I need to look for in the next round. So
that's awesome.
Yep.
Well, the journey begins. Congratulations. That's pretty exciting stuff. Those little bits, I mean, it's just so exciting. I won twice, it's like, it's awesome.
Yeah, because once you get that down to a science, it's easy pickings from there. It's just increasing position size, but not until you have mastered that process.
Yeah, green trades to green days, and that's really the growth. You've got a couple green trades now. See if you can start linking up some green days, and don't worry if you don't have, if it doesn't all go the right way and whatever. But that's kind of interesting that as you kind of point that direction. So if you guys want to, I was going to take something that we go over pretty regularly and go in a little deeper dive than we normally do.
Sure. So you want to share your screen or anything, or?
No, because I'm on an iPad. So
okay.
But it's stuff that probably ears over eyes at this point. So like conceptualizing. So we all know that emotional control is probably paramount. It's paramount to day trading. It's the single biggest aspect of trading. If you don't have emotional control, everything else just kind of goes to the wayside. So, Don, what would you say is the number one emotion that people struggle with? Just one word.
Fear.
You nailed it right on the head. Everybody's like nodding their heads. Hell yeah.
Yep.
It's like fear of losing money, fear of missing out, revenge trading,
all of it is based
overconfidence,
in fear.
impatience. Oh my God. Yeah. The list, I mean, it just goes. It's fear, right? It's fear.
Yep.
Well, we can go. We've already covered those subjects like in depth. I mean, to the point where we beat a dead horse. If you're newer, those are things that you're going to hear about a lot about. So, and if you've been in these aftermarket shows, then you've heard some fairly deep dives into some of that. What I wanted to take a little bit time and go just one step deeper is kind of what Marlena was talking about. As far as evaluating and stuff. One of the things that we all need to do for ourselves when we journal is to gain control over emotions is to identify triggers. Triggers are we don't even realize it for the most part while they're going on. Triggers are the thing that cause us to go from one thought into the next, and practicing techniques like mindfulness and even breathing, can help with that. So, for instance, we were talking about that a little bit in the afternoon class today in the afternoon session when it came to, averaging down. You get a stock that comes down to a support level, retaps it again, and then you go into it for a third time, it starts breaking down, and you're like, oh, well, you know what, it dipped out a little bit. I'll just add some more, and then it bounces up a little bit. We're not quite high enough, or you're back in the green a little bit, and then then it kind of falls back down to where it was, and you're like, well, I'm still kind of in the zone. I'm in between where I bought and sold and stuff, and all that rationalization starts occurring. So what quite often we don't realize is there was a trigger in there somewhere. In that process of a stock dipping out, there's a trigger, and for every person, it's a little different. It's going to be the hesitation. It can be rationalization. It can be any number of things, and there's several different points in there where our brain is trying to tell us there's something that didn't go quite right, and what are we doing about it? So, when a stock, for one of the things that we're taught, and I'll give this one away to the people that are watching for free, is we talk about stop losses. If a stock breaks rung or dips out, the stop is supposed to be what's protecting us. But how many times don't we just, the stock is trading, kind of casually. It's not really moving around a lot. It's kind of walking all over our buy price and stuff. So we just don't throw that stop in because it just doesn't seem like anything could happen to it. So triggers. Work on triggers. One of the there's different red lights that you can put in place for yourself. So let's say you're trading in a certain area, and maybe you choose to have a mental stop, which I don't recommend for new people, or most 90% of people, because when a stock knife drops, even as fast as you push the button, stock can move 10-15% sometimes. So just like with a stock kind of dropping down, what would you suppose would be the first signal that we're missing, or a trigger that we're missing? Any one of the three of you. Like when a stock starts dipping out and you're in it, and it's broken rung, and you still own it, and you're thinking about buying that next rung down. What in that process for you has broken down that stock has already dipped out? Like mental wise, is it a false security? Is it what allowed that to happen in your mind? Because we've all done it.
Mm-hmm.
I would think, based off what I've dealt with today, I would say more of a security. I was more concerned, even though it was like really small amounts, is okay, what if it dips down more and I would lose? So I was thinking, if that's what you're meaning, as far as security is losing the amount that you put in.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we have kind of a sense of security that, well, it's only one share. If it dips out 30 cents, it's only 30 cents.
Right.
Mhm,
Right.
mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you got an accurate position size and stuff. Um,
I'm still trying to figure out what the question is. I feel like I went
think
brain dead.
I think I skated past it a little bit. I'm sorry.
No, I'm like, what is he asking?
What? Let's see. What are some of the? I'll back it up a little bit. What are
Okay.
some of the things that trigger a heightened sense of emotion when trading?
Ah,
It's so close. Just a little bit more. I'll be in the profit.
yeah. Because I
Oh,
go through both fear and
here's
greed.
a solid level. It's going to bounce.
So compromise and rationalize.
Yeah. You heard
Yeah.
a lot of what I do when I was talking with Coach today, because it's like exactly what he was doing when he kept getting in at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I do that.
And it's perfectly understandable, because what he was going after was a reasonable trajectory, but
Yeah.
the market wasn't giving, so he had to change, because the market was showing him that was a support and not a continued direction, so he had to adjust. So he didn't. The interesting thing is, with him running into that a second time, that's kind of what I call the red light green light thing.
Mm-hmm.
By the time it red lighted him twice, it triggered in his mind that he needed to change up what he was doing.
Yep.
And that's what successful traders will do. So it's one thing to go in a certain direction, get stopped out, and then re-enter the direction because it assumes that direction again.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's showing you something different, like that is like what he was saying, it was an area of support, then he had to flip the script. So there's different things that trigger. There's things that trigger emotions. There's things that trigger actions. There's just we're just chock-a-block filled with triggers. And more often than not, what happens is, and I see this in people that are struggling, and I recognize this because at some point, I've struggled with things and continue to struggle with things that everybody else does too. If what we're doing isn't working, we're missing something in that current situation analysis over and over. It's a trigger that we're missing. We're getting into something. We're not realizing that it should be triggering a different thought process. But triggers can be something that sets off emotion. Triggers can also be something that should be alerting us to something different that's going on, and we need to be adapting to it. And Coach did a beautiful job today of running into that support twice, redefining it, and then his brain knows to trigger. This is a different current situation. This is no longer looking like a trend play. I need to reevaluate the current situation. This is now a channel, or it has the possibility of a channel, goes into calls on support, and so on and so on. So and that's what a professional day trader does. So whether it's emotional triggers, procedural triggers, oh my God, your journals, the more self-aware you become, will become just filled with triggers. And the funny thing is, we are going to make the same mistakes over and over and over, and we're going to lose over and over and over off of the same things that either should be triggering something or are triggering an emotional response that's not allowing us, that's blinding us somehow. So that's a little bit deeper dive into fear. That's something that we've talked about before, triggers. Now we're going to go a little deeper.
I'm definitely triggered by gamma candles.
Oh yeah. And the funny thing is, you're going to learn this too if you go. One of the first things that you'll learn is when you go from trading shares into options. If you're trading options on like one of the big seven versus trading hot stocks or petty stocks, quite often if you get the equivalent of a gamma candle in shares, retail buyers will rush in and offset that overrun, and then quite often that first candle will bounce immediately halfway back. And if you're a stock trader, you're going to jump in and potentially hammer that quick bounce. If you do that in options and you get a confirming candle, you're cooked, because the big seven doesn't trade the same way.
Right.
You'll and that's a different trigger all in itself. That's something that I had to learn to offset when I started trading options. I'm like, man, normally there's some sort of bounce on this thing, and sometimes there are in options, but it's like, whoa, if you get a leading candle, it's it's a whopper, you get $1.50 move or something like that on a stock, and the options follow it, and you step in the way of that freight train, oh man, you get smacked pretty quick. And it's like,
yeah,
you just bought it and then stop. It's like that South Park thing. I put my money in the bank and now it's gone. It's like, welcome to South State Bank.
Right.
Your money's gone. Next
you
please.
traded options before you came to ADT, didn't you?
Not I
so much.
I only did extreme versions of it. Like when a stock was really overrun in the wrong direction, I would jump into an options trade. It was usually more of a kind of a one-way strangle.
Yeah.
Like with GameStop, it would get overblown in a certain direction. And then I could come back, and say if for some reason it just got jacked to $42 or something. This is long after the GameStop thing. If there was a temporary run in it, it was pretty much a garbage stock. I mean, it was, technically a $2.50 stock and still is, because GameStop, anyway, the difference. But if there was a significant overrun, I would jump in after the trend was exhausted, and I would go the opposite direction. And sometimes those worked out really, really well. I think I'd only had one 6-figure trade, 130 some thousand at that point, and had some in the 40s, 50s, and 60s periodically, but not with any sort of consistency. So It was something that I wanted to do more of, and I just needed to spend more time on it and be around other people that were doing it. And I just I found people who were like kind of, I would say, stabbing away at options, following the Nigerian brothers on CNBC or something like that. Some rich guy bought 5,000 puts on yada, yada, yada. Maybe you should too, because some rich guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about either,
Yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, we can look at, what was I going to say here? Triggers. Let's see. What I wanted to look at is something slightly different. And you might say, well, what the hell does this have to do with trading? But it has to do everything to do with how we are as people and as we approach trading. And it's something that's pretty wild. So we're going to go down the rabbit hole just a little bit. We're going to talk about vanity and insecurity. You're like, vanity? What the hell? How I look so pretty in the mirror has nothing to do with trading, and whether or not my ass looks fat in these jeans has nothing to do with trading either. So,
it's not the jeans, Palm. It's the fridge.
Right,
exactly. Okay, so here's the relationship. Vanity and insecurity can be linked in a cyclical pattern. Vanity often is defined as excessive pride in oneself, particularly one's appearance, that can stem from deep-seated insecurities. Quite often, we're feeling insecure. We bolster ourselves by showing pride on the outside. So insecurity fuels vanity. Individuals can focus excessively on their physical appearance to mask or compensate underlying feelings of inadequacy or low self-esteem. Webster's definition, so on and so forth. Vanity often demands external validation. This can lead to a constant need for external affirmation and approval from others to feel good about oneself. And this is where things like social media play a role, with people seeking validation through likes, comments, shares. Doesn't mean that if you're looking for likes that you have a problem with vanity or insecurity. But the cycle repeats. Increased insecurity then drives a greater need for outward displays of vanity and the pursuit of external validation, and perpetuating the cycle. Well, if we have something that is and needless to say, feelings of, anytime you have a feeling, it can be something that that triggers something emotional that gets extrapolated. By extrapolated, it's 10-cent word for meaning it compounds and continues to run out of control in a given direction. So in essence, vanity can be seen as a defense mechanism against insecurity. And this can be detrimental, leading to lower self-esteem, feelings of inadequacy. And here's the kicker. One of the biggest cycles of all that everybody can relate to, increased anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, we're going down the rabbit hole a little further.
Let's go down the rabbit hole.
We're going down the rabbit hole.
Let's go.
You're like,
go.
where the hell is this going? Right? It can also
it's
reduce
Mindset Monday. That's what it's
yeah,
about.
we're going deep.
Yeah.
So it can also lead to reduced well-being or a feeling of how well we feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to differentiate between healthy self-care and problematic vanity. While moderate levels of self-care and a healthy interest in your appearance can be positive, vanity becomes problematic when it's driven by insecurity and an excessive need for external validation. Okay, that's enough of like the technical jargon of it. Anybody ever understand how anxiety and depression can affect trading? If you're anxious, does it affect your trading?
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
If fear has spiraled out of control, can that lead to depression?
Yeah.
And cause you analysis paralysis and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when you back out, sometimes when we're so far in the forest, we can't see the trees.
Yeah.
And people often say, it's the dumbest thing in the world to say, if you're in the forest, you can't see the trees because the trees are all around you. That's literally the point.
Right.
Sometimes if you're staring at cycles of anxiety and depression by trying to stem the swings of emotional constraints while you're trading, step back out to the point where you can actually see the forest instead of just seeing all the sticks around you, because somehow you're looking so close that all you're seeing is the branches and the bark, and you can't really see what's going on. Quite often when people run into problems, guys are the worst at this. Sorry, this is sexist, guys. Guys are problem solvers, and women, this. Guys think that if women are having a problem, the guy wants to like bang it out like a problem, right? He's like, well, you just got to do this, and this, and it's like, no, you idiot. It has nothing to do with it, right? Right, ladies? And guys are like, why can't you understand that this is the problem, the solution to the problem, and just get the solution and get over your problem? It doesn't work. So when you're dealing with emotions, logic is what the first thing that we try to apply, and sometimes logic is the last thing that we need to be focused on, and it is the emotional aspect of it. Women are way more in tune with this, 90-fold better than guys. Sorry, guys, that's a fact. And then when it comes to guys, we have to understand that when we get this way, we have to go to a different side of ourselves and start doing some exploration rather than just becoming more analytical and looking at the bark on the tree, because we can no longer see the tree. We're so up close to it. We're looking at the knot hole on the tree, and we can't see that the tree is blocking us from where we want to walk. I know it's metaphorical, it's oversimplified, but these things happen in trading.
Yeah.
So now we take a look at, we take a look at these cycles of anxiety and depression, in our trading. Is it possible that in our life we feel some insecurity about something, or that we have an overwhelming sense of insecurity and we don't think that we do? We're reaching out more for validation. It could, like, for instance, a good example today was Coach was saying before the market even opened, he said, let the market show you what it's going to do. The market was up, and it, maybe it's going to pull. Maybe it's going to pull, and then it's going to bounce and run to the upside. We just don't know. We get down $2 a share in whatever he was trading at the time, and I hear somebody shout out a dollar amount where it's going to. Now, was that based on any sort of a channel or support resistance level, or was that an emotional call out looking for validation?
That's a good point. Yeah.
And realistically, we had no way of knowing that it was going to pull potentially $7 today. The normal fluctuations were about $3 to $4. But it was looking, at that point, emotion is still the larger issue, and looking for that validation was more important than letting the market show us where we wanted to go. Now, I'm not trying to call that person out. I'm just saying that happens all the time. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, well, this is what we're looking for. Why are we looking for it to go there? And usually people will say resistance from the previous day or pre-market or such and such was showing at this level, or this was a much stronger level of support. And yet we hear this random call out for a dollar amount, and it was within $2. I mean, that's really not an accomplishment to find. It's gonna bounce off that in the opening in the first hour and a half of the day anyway, right?
Right.
So, but that that speaks to, okay, are we feeling inadequate? Are we feeling a lower self-esteem? Are we looking for, is that fueling some sort of vanity that we need to look like a baller of a trader, or so on and so forth? There's all kinds of emotions that come out in a trading room. It's just chock-a-block full of them, and so many people have so many different styles. But going back to point number 3 that I first read off, reliance on external validation increases vulnerability. So if you're reaching out for that extra validation, you're increasing your own vulnerability as a trader. Kind of one of those weird little things. Vanity demands external validation. So if you are somebody that it's cyclical, you see how it just keeps like falling on top of each other.
Yeah.
And that can be a tough cycle to break. And then if you take into account the cycles of vanity and insecurity, and how that links to anxiety and depression and fear and greed, and that wash tumbler of all of it, it's all tied together. So if we find that even in our personal lives, and you heard me say this afternoon, the things that we talk about, people say, well, I'm learning how to do this process now. Okay, I learned how to purchase a call, sell a call, learned how to swing trade or something like that. I learned a procedure today. But we talk about the mental aspects of it all the time, because it's really healthy self-care, because managing the emotional aspect of it is the largest part of trading. As soon as you get in, as soon as you push that first button, you feel fear, and then when you make a little bit of money, you feel a little bit of greed and a little bit of euphoria. And you have had your first collision of fear and greed. And it's exciting. And it's a little tumultuous. And it's appealing. It's like a drug. And we want that. Right? So
yep.
It is
it's
exciting.
Addictive.
And we can do those things. And when things are going your way, and if you're not too greedy, and if you can get in, get green, get out, and you can get your confidence, it reduces the anxiety and depression cycles. It can reduce that fueled insecurity between that fueled cycle of vanity and insecurity. And when you leave off a trade, and I know this from experience, if I leave off a day and it didn't go as well as I wanted, or if I wound up with a red day, how do I feel at the end of the day? I feel insecure. I feel
possibly
maybe
depressed,
possibly a little anxious. And then that lays the foundation for that difficult cycle for us to manage. So is it better to get in, get green, get out, and leave the day with some confidence and some modest success? Or do we want to carry that with us overnight and enter the next trading day with that moderate level of anxiety, depression, and cyclical vanity and insecurity? And if we lose that day, it compounds. If we lose another day, it compounds again. So what is the rule that we have in place if you lose consecutive days? You stop trading. Whatever it is, it has nothing to do with what's on the page. So without going into that long explanation or spending hours to get to the point where the depth of these discoveries can be made, Coach puts out these rules, and they're from They're from being a seasoned, experienced person who has experienced a lot of these things. So he's not always going to take the time to, take these deep dives into why these things are going on. But that's why he tells us to journal, right? And these are things that I recognize too. These are things that I recognize from my professional life, prior to ever coming around here, because I've been able to learn and share knowledge about some of these things, with other professionals, and gotten training on and stuff like that, and you share the training and move forward and stuff like that. So, I'm beginning to identify some triggers, and then understanding why some of these things are happening. If they're occurring over and over, you got to stop, and you really, really do got to stop until you figure out what the trigger is, what's kicking off that cycle, what in your personal life are you carrying over into trading, or what in your trading are you now carrying over into your personal life and in turn aggravating it. I'm not gonna say anybody here has. I'll tell you from personal experience. I've had a couple days blow up on me in the past, and guess what I did in my personal life?
What?
I treated people like shit around me.
Yeah.
I was without even knowing it, that insecurity was there in my head, and I was either being more vain, dismissive, rude, argumentative, triggered, or in otherwise not acting in a way that was appropriate to the way the person was acting with me. And it didn't necessarily need to be severe, but that residual effect was there. So there's a lot to it. You could spend days and months and years going into all the different levels of psychology and stuff, but we just ideally want to focus on the ones that are the most disruptive to making our trades and doing the things that we need to do. So moderate your greed, moderate your fear. If something isn't right, just simply don't trade it. Wait for the right setup and stuff. Do all the things. You're gonna hear the same thing hundreds and thousands of times over and over. And if something starts to skitch away from you, and you have a red day, it's okay. It's gonna happen. It's just part of being a trader. Sometimes we're just not on. But if we get on that horse and things start to cycle out, you need to understand that something emotionally is getting further than it needs to be. And before you place that next trade, figure it the hell out. And it's not every red day. Sometimes you just have, sometimes you're just off. Sometimes you just have an off day. It happens. You have off days back to back. There's something not right.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Or just simply step back to paper and work on it there. But, the funny thing is, God, when the market's moving around crazy, another thing that causes fear, and it's a stupid fear, I got out too early. A stock popped up I made a nice profit to the upside, and then it just went up twice more. And it's like, damn it. It's like, I didn't do something right. Nope, you did it right. You're just not mature yet. It's okay. You made your money. Never, ever regret a positive trade. It doesn't matter if it's 3 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, 50 cents, 75 cents. You made a green trade, you made a green trade. The rest comes with maturity and time. And that's all you're here to do, is make trades that are profitable over and over, and the rest will take care of itself. So don't ever worry about if you missed or got out too soon. You can wait for another setup, wait for another pullback, re-enter on the pullback, start figuring some of those things out for yourself. But it's okay to make little bits. It truly is okay to make little bits. You're gonna hear about some people that make some pretty big hits in the room. They're doing it because they've done the same thing with 1 shares, 10 shares, 100 shares, 1,000 shares, and so on and so on and so on, and years and years and years of doing that. And it's become the comfort zone to do that with larger amounts, and then that pays off larger amounts. But you can never get there if you can't do it a little bit. I guarantee you, there's times where you'll hear a trade that seems like it's a big deal because because it's something that I did. But realistically, I may have severely underutilized that trade. I may have used a much larger amount, and I took it for a shorter ride, and maybe I didn't maximize that trade. So that happens all the way around. And you know some of the trades that I get into, I'll tell you right now, they're not all optimized all the time. That's like I'd like to think I do okay, but sometimes I just hammer the shit out of it and take it for a short ride. So
sometimes, hey, listen, it's like that's the level you want to get to because you've done all the small trades over and over and over, and now you're there, to where you have the account to be able to just stay in a trade for a couple seconds and make thousands of dollars. You've earned that.
And David too,
and
Richard and
Mark.
It's just and Mark. I mean, I remember early on Mark days, I think his goal was to make 200 or 250 a day or something.
400
it was. So that was a big deal. He's like, well, I'm halfway there. He knocked out $200 one day and $200 the next day, and he developed that consistency. I remember David talking about 3, 5, 6, $700 days and stuff. Just remarkable consistency. And now he's like thousands.
Yeah.
Just and he keeps scaling and stuff. Scaling and that sort of thing comes over time. But emotional control, the disciplines and stuff that we're talking about, we need to master them and get consistency. And consistency is what takes us further and then allows us, and eventually we get the comfort. We'll have sat there and watched it, and we'll know what we can stretch a little bit. We know what we're willing to take a risk a little bit on. But it all comes from keeping our emotions under control while we're doing things. And you can't do that if you're going too big too fast, if you're staying in too long to be greedy. Just get in, get your green, get out. If you're following the EWO, follow the EWO until it crosses over. And I can't tell you how many times we get a great EWO going and people are like, I just had to take it. It was just, it's like,
dude, what?
Swing back and forth and back and forth. And you're on that emotional roller coaster because it goes back to kind of Suckville. And then it comes out to a bunch. And then it kind of goes back to kind of not quite Suckville. And then it goes out to be a bunch more. And it does that about 6 or 7 times. And it's only had its actual really first pullback. And it's probably going 2 more because that EWO is now that 921 is spreading wide open, and there's no sign of pulling back other than the fact that the candles are getting really big on the other side of it. And we're like, that cycle inside of our head, that little fear and greed collision over and over stresses us out to the point where we have to get out of the trade, even though we've made not the full amount on that trade, because there's nothing in that trade telling us to get out.
Okay, so Palm, you talked about the forest and the trees. That's exactly what that reminds me of.
Yes.
The forest being the 2-minute EWO and riding it out and panning out and seeing the big picture. Look, it did all of this and you were in and out for all of that, messing with the trees. When you pan out and look at the forest, it all went down.
Yep.
And that was the forest.
It showed itself, like SPY showed itself early on. With it usually does somewhere in the first hour to hour and a half in the day. Usually the first half hour, it kind of shows you volatility. In the first hour, it starts trying to pick a direction somewhere around the first hour and a half. It either sets a channel or shows you something different. That 921 went under VWAP and it started opening up and it never went back. But look at all the chop. It walked back and forth and back and forth. And this is where people say, I got chopped up. If you're getting chopped up, you're getting chopped up in your head. The emotions are getting chopped up, right? So it's not the stock market didn't chop you up.
You kept getting in.
Yeah, you kept getting in and panicking and getting out and taking a loss and taking a loss and taking a loss because you got in, you got fearful and you shit your pants and now you threw away money. Like it's like just stop. Seriously, just stop. Wait for it to get a little further down the train. Wait for a pullback to the 9 and enter it. That type of thing.
God.
So, yeah. So
you
anyway,
made some good points, Palm. I was writing down some things about how people get insecure at the end of the day of their trade. I feel like it's just like risk management. I think for me, I don't know about anybody else, but with my insecurities, it would be maybe I need to be trained and I need to go back over the notes or go back over some of the training videos with the, that coach has put out and David and some of the other moderators. And I just have to restudy that, And I think that's where some people's insecurities at the end of the day, like, oh, I didn't do so well with the trade. And for me, I'm thinking if I can manage my risk, I can probably a little bit probably manage my insecurities. And I think that all has to do with my knowledge, my training. Okay, what did I miss? What did I apply? What I didn't apply? So I think maybe in that aspect, we can manage both to some degree.
That's 100% correct, and that's really the tail end of this conversation. Is how do you begin to manage the fear and the greed, the insecurity and the vanity and stuff. So yes, if you are feeling insecure about it, and especially when we're new, we have a thirst for knowledge. We need to find out why, and that helps to manage that insecurity. And then the other portion of it is do exactly what you said. The resources are there 24/7, so take the time and go back and watch those things. And then the other portion of it is I posted this in, I think it was in the stock lounge like 3 weeks ago. There's 3 things that successful people do without exception, hands down. They will always do it, and it's always at the core of what they do. And unsuccessful people don't do this. Number 1, they ask questions. Number 2, they ask more questions. Number 3,
no, because
I'm
writing.
so guilty of that.
Is it
questions?
questions?
Number 3, guess what number 3 is? They keep asking questions.
Wow.
And they do it from they do it from their own presidential cabinet. They do it from every resource they can. Successful people at some point get over the insecurity of asking questions to other people, and for a variety of reasons, whether it's social anxiety, whatever the case may be, they will always reach out and very willingly ask not only one, but they'll ask 2 or 3 people. What do you think about this? They run into a stumbling block, a financial stumbling block, a relationship stumbling block. They will reach out and they will ask questions, and then they will ask more questions, and then they keep asking questions. And successful people do that. People who are socially inhibited or have inhibited themselves, or basically kind of wallow in self-pity or any of the other traps that come from being heavily inverted, they don't ask questions. And they will not grow. They will not succeed until they do that simple thing. Now, some people are timid. I'm not talking about social styles, because that's a whole separate ball of wax. A timid person can type a question in the Zoom chat. A timid person can ask somebody, a fellow trader, somebody that's a little, somebody more in their comfort zone. Social styles between analytical, that's a whole separate discussion I want to avoid. But there's 4 basic social styles, and knowing which one you are, and how that affects your ability to ask questions, and your persistence level to which you ask questions, affects whether or not you're going to be able to advance, and how well you're going to be able to advance yourself. And then if you have that level of introspection, then you're going to be able to go back and do the self-checks, the self-awareness, do a current situation analysis on yourself. Why have I run into this 3, 4, 5 times in a row? And I just haven't flipped the script on this yet. Talk to somebody you know. So anyway, that's a fair amount of water to drink for the day.
Yeah, that was
amazing.
That was really
Miss Thon?
Yeah.
F2's in the chat. Can you pop the link back in?
Sure.
Angie's there too. I don't know if she's wanting to come up. The other thing, Palm, you were talking about, when you have a bad day, taking it out on your family. I was actually quite short with my wife and my daughter today, and they were just trying to help. Bad trade, but more so it should have known better type thing.
Oh, you don't shit on yourself either. We all go through this stuff. So I guess
TSLQ with the way it went up was kind of pricey. So I was playing TSLL with the L2 and off the bounce, and in the pre-market, the first time I went to get in, the Webull terms of service popped up. So I missed the trade. Well, the second time in the pre-market, the Webull terms of service popped up again. At the open, I got in or tried to get in because it had dropped with the, looking for the bounce for it to pop up at the open. And when I clicked the buy to get in, the order confirmation popped up. So I ended up in at the top of the candle. When I tried to get out, the order confirmation popped up. So I ended up down at the bottom of the candle. If there was something going on with the system in 2 different trades before, I should not have tried a third time.
That's true.
That's what I meant by I should have known better.
Yep. And then it's really easy to carry that frustration into our personal lives.
Yeah. But then I'm starting to let the disruptions get to me and aggravate me more and more. Like the 4 phone calls I've had just sitting here.
Yeah, I was like, mute your mic, dude.
Yeah, well,
mute your mic.
So can you turn the ringer off for the 1 hour that you're in here?
Yeah, I have now, and it's that the watch starts dinging.
Yeah. Well, then take your
You
watch
sound
off and put it in
triggered.
the drawer. I'm just saying these are all. I mean, it's good that you're identifying these things. These are all triggers that are throwing your emotional well-being out of whack, right?
Yeah.
It's disturbing your peace. So this is something that goes in the journal. Quick bullet point: shut off my phone for an hour if I can. Take my watch off, put it in a drawer if I can. Close the drawer if I close the door to my office if I'm able to be uninterrupted, unless it's an emergency type thing. How we manage distractions, all the different things that upset our apple cart are things that we need to bullet point, and do something different, because otherwise they just keep. These are simple things, right? But these are all things we learn about. Did I ever tell you about my $1,800 bagel sandwich?
No. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I was in a trade with, I
$18?
don't know, 500 SPY contracts. My wife walks in and asks me what I wanted for lunch. And she asked me if I wanted a ham and cheese bagel. In the time it took me to take my brain and unwrap it from that trade, turn around and tell her that, number one, I was pissed that she was interrupting me because I didn't close the door and I didn't ask her to stay out to begin with. I fussed with her a little bit and then told her in some unpleasant way what kind of sandwich I wanted for lunch, even though she was doing something kind for me. Turned around and it cost me $1,800 on top of being nasty to the person that I love. So yeah, I'm fully aware of all that stuff. I have, excuse my French, I have fucked it up, and you will too. But you know what? I don't want to do it again. And so those are learnings for me. That's a bullet point in my journal, and that's why we keep journals, because that path is different for every one of us. So
huge.
Yeah.
And
huge.
F2, what's up?
What's up, guys?
How's it going?
Good. Glad you could join.
Mom, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back. Gotta say, it was a little bit messy at the beginning, because I was kind of putzing around on my iPad, and I actually had some decent trades, but they were not well maximized because I'm looking at a different screen and stuff. It's like, yeah, I made some money and hit a couple home runs, but getting back, in front of quality equipment was a huge help. So I actually went down in position size today, and it was still a good day. But nice. I'm easing back in for a couple days.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Sweet. How did you do today, Ange?
I didn't do a damn thing today.
Me either.
I didn't. I overoccupied with other important things that need my attention. And so the little bit that I did do was in paper trading, and that's enough for me. Sometimes you got to know when you should just stay out.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. That is wisdom. That is wisdom.
Yes.
Know thyself.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. It was in the Matrix. It's all over the place.
No, I'm getting ready I'm getting ready to do a huge like laser focus trading project for myself, for the second half of the year, or what's left of the second half of the year. So, I'm getting my mind right for that too. So there's no time to make mistake, right? It's time to just make the plan and stick to the plan. So, you guys know me well enough to know that I like a well executed, mechanism to create power for myself. So that's just how I like to operate. So, but knowing when not to be in, and I was busy all day today and had to take care of personal stuff. So it was like, you know what? The market's here tomorrow.
That's
It's
right.
not going nowhere. Another
That's right.
EWO will come. It's fine.
No way. You'll never
Way.
get another EWO, not as long as you live. It never happened.
Nah, I'm here for it. I've stepped back. I'm like so into the editing right now. I've literally taken a break from trading just to kind of get my mind into the editing, and I'm loving it because the stuff that I'm doing so much learning right now. You know what I mean? So, and that's what Coach said. Coach said if you need to take a freaking year off and just watch, then do that so that you can get your stuff together. Because Palmer, I'm so glad you talked about triggers, because when the gamma candles happen, Dawn wants to jump in, and Dawn has to stop doing that. So Dawn is fasting and eating raw vegan and getting herself healthy and disciplining herself so that when she comes back to trading, that practice of disciplining myself and holding back is there.
It all ties together, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And the
F2.
disciplines in every aspect. Disciplines get loose in some areas of our life. They can easily get just as loose in the trading, and we won't even know it because we're like, okay, well, I let my diet go to shit this week, but I'm going to be a super tight trader. No, no, pizza and hot dogs and ice cream for a week does not a better trader make, right?
Yep. But
And
fasting creates discipline, big time.
So I was determined to do something awesome, and it actually turned out with decent results. But I didn't do what I set out to do. So when we did the whole micro May thing, like take tiny position sizes and really work on work on that. I was like, in my mind, I was thinking, okay, I took X amount of dollars and I put it off into a side account, and I'm gonna deal with this smaller account, and I'm gonna grow this account, and I'm gonna do the micro May. Well, in my mind, micro May was going down to a smaller size account and then absolutely hammering the ever loving shit out of it until I made it a big account. That's not micro May. That's not how that works. That was not small position size. That was like going because of my mind, I knew it was a smaller position size overall.
Right.
I was breaking all the rules. I was going all in. Well, after 21 days, I 40x the account, and I realized I broke every rule in micro May. But I took 100 to 4.2 in 21 days, and I was like, I absolutely did nothing. So when somebody asked me how'd that go with micro May, what was your goal and everything, I'm like, it went okay, but it wasn't what I was trying to do. And I left the conversation at that because I absolutely did nothing that I was supposed to be doing during micro May. Now, granted, it had happy ending, happy results, but I totally effed up the thought process. So, it's like, it doesn't matter.
I wish I had those kind of F ups.
Well, no, I wasn't. If I'm going to practice the discipline and the accuracy, I can't be going all in on on almost every trade. Now, granted, at any point in time, had I blown the account, c'est la vie, not that big a deal. Or even if I had blown 50% of it back, but that wasn't the whole point. The point was to be working on the discipline of it. So then I took a little bit of time, over the course of, I would take I promised myself I'd take, Monday and Tuesday of every week and do small position sizes and really work on the disciplines and the accuracy and the analysis of really trying to squeeze the blood out of the turnip, and really focused on where those things are. And it's not like I don't, because you have to be when you're trading larger amounts. But getting down to a smaller amount and really, focusing on kind of easing the emotional aspect of it and stuff too. I didn't do that for myself. So I failed in the greater project, but it worked out. But I'm just saying, if my emotions were in the right place, I would not have been out of control like that. I know it sounds stupid. How can you be self-criticizing when the results were there? You have to be. If the discipline is there, whether you're winning or losing, guess how bad it gets when you lose. So yeah, you got to work on the disciplines, and even when you win, it can reinforce a bad behavior. So that's a little bit of
So here's my thing. Didn't you already do that though? Didn't you already do that with the smaller position? Because you weren't always, dealing with these large amounts of money. What you were, but like millions. Didn't you already go through the small stuff? Like I guess I'm trying to figure out. Are you trying to enforce self-restraint? Is that what you're trying to?
Yeah, I was working on emotional discipline.
Okay.
And working on mindset, and finding that zone. I can find the zone under pressure. My mind works really well under pressure. It comes with being a type A person.
Yeah.
But and actually, the more pressure you put, the more focused I get. I mean, it's like time slows down. So like in a car wreck, I'm the one that, I'm the person that, in 2.5 seconds, I can break that down to 6 different things that happen, and it's like, I've always been that way. It made me good at certain things, but, it made me good at high level management. It made me good at motorcycle racing and car racing and, downhill skiing and, a handful of other weird things in life. But yeah, developing discipline is developing discipline, and cheating when you're developing discipline doesn't work. So all it does is reinforce another bad behavior. So cheating is cheating, and and not if you're working on developing emotional discipline, then you got to work on developing emotional discipline. And I was a bit too cavalier to be doing that, and I didn't talk about it, and I didn't brag about it. And you guys are the first person to hear about it. So that's going to be the end of it. I'm not going to take it back in the room and talk about it, because in my mind, it wasn't a success. I didn't
You try it again?
I did not do what I needed to. I probably won't do it for a whole month, but
a month is hard.
It's difficult. Yeah, it cost me a lot to try that. So there's that aspect too. I mean, I did take a fair amount of time off and stuff, and I did reduce some position size on some days and stuff, but isn't that rationalization? That's terrible. I'm still rationalizing why I fucked up, and I'm going to continue to fuck it up. So it's terrible. See, everybody does it. So, but I've definitely done that to the downside on some trades too. I've rationalized. That's how I know about the red light, green light effect. And Marlena, if you don't know what red light, green light is, it's when you get into a trade and it goes red and green on you because it's flopping around like a fish on the dock. If you start going red light, green light, by the time you get to the second green light, get the hell out.
Okay. I'll take that tip.
Something's not right, and the stock hasn't picked a direction. So usually what happens is, if it's going in the direction that you were going, it may have found a support and may work back against you. If it works the other way around, it doesn't matter. It's either way, it's undecided. And the best way to do it is, if you're in the trade, then when you get to the green portion of it, move your stop up tight behind it so that it either cements that direction, and if it goes in that direction further, you can follow it. And the best way is that you get stopped out if it tries to go red against you. And that's part of coaches. You don't let a green trade go red. But if you get the red light, green light, if you find yourself at the intersection, red light, green light, and you're still sitting there, just like in real life, if you're sitting at an intersection and it's going red light, green light, get out of there. It's like, you're the only fool at the intersection, right? So it's like, I'll tell you that from experience. I've done it too many times. Okay. All right. Thanks for letting me cover some of that ground tonight, and give up the floor
Tom,
to.
I got a quick question. I don't like to sit in the trade too long. I find myself with the little two that I did is to get out real quick. Does that make me a scalper?
It doesn't really make you anything yet. It just means you're exploring.
Okay.
So over the
Okay.
course of time, I've definitely heard people, like working on 2-minute EWO entries, and then, you're going to kind of gravitate in different directions.
Okay.
Initially, I think we're all kind of born into scalping a little bit, because the whole goal is to get in, get green, get out.
Yeah.
And we're working on those 2-minute EWO entries and stuff. And over the course of time, we learn to stay in trades a little bit longer. So
Okay.
that just comes with maturity and
Okay.
and that control of that fear and greed collision while the stock moves up and down. As it moves in the direction that you want, takes a little bit of maturity to keep a calm mind while it happens. So initially, if you're just getting green trades, just keep getting the green trades. Organically, you're going to want to stay in them a little bit longer, and you're going to see the similar setups, and you're going to see the similar momentum and price action, and that will provide some comfort in trying to stay in them a little bit longer when the trades are working in the direction that you like.
Okay. Good deal. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Palm.
You're very welcome.
Pleasure talking with you.
And amazing. F2, did you have anything you wanted to add before we get out of here?
No, I just wanted to come to support the panel, and I haven't got to hang out with you guys in a while because of work and everything, and I just wanted to show my support.
I'm glad to see you.
Were you able to trade today?
I traded a little bit this morning. I did 7% on my account, and then I had to get back to focus on work and stuff. So, and then I spend most of my time working on my paper trading and different things that for other things that I'm teaching myself how to do with scalping and everything. So
cool.
Sweet. 7%. That's a good deal.
It's like he's like so cool and comfortable. I just made more than the average
7%.
retiree makes a year on the whole account.
He just breezed over that 7%, didn't he?
The average retiree makes 4 to 6%. I just made 7 in one day. It's all good. Nice job.
Sweet. Well,
right.
Palm, thank you so much for being on here and dropping all those nuggets. I took some notes, and I'm definitely gonna continue to work on my triggers, try to stay disciplined, and just keep moving forward. You know what I mean?
If you found any of this valuable, go back into the stock lounge or into the membership lounge. Post up that that you found something valuable in it, so that other people can go back and take a look, because not everybody's going to be able to make this. And quite often it's just easy enough to overlook after spending 8 hours in the Zoom room or something like that. Maybe they don't necessarily want to go back and look, but if if it comes from multiple directions that there's something worth taking a look at, go and post that up. If you're down in the chat and you've heard some things today that you like, do the same thing. Tell a friend. Look into a short-term subscription. I think Bruno was even talking about some trial memberships. If you've not put a foot in the door yet, there's an awful lot more that we cover in the live Zooms and stuff, and you can actually get a foot in the door and check these things out for yourself. So if you're visiting, there's nobody sending hammering you with emails and text messages and chats and asking you for WhatsApp and hammering you 14 times a day and begging you and stuff. Nope. You just have to have the sense to invest in yourself, and you can come and see if this is what you want to invest in. So anyway, check into it and make like I said, share it around in the chats a little bit if you found something helpful, because then somebody else probably will too. Thanks. I got to get going, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
We all got to go now. But don't forget to pick up the Diamond membership. That includes all the memberships. And right now, since Coach has been live and going strong for 3 years, he is celebrating his 3-year anniversary by keeping the Diamond membership at $5K. So if you have the wherewithal, take full advantage of it. Just go to AmericanDreamTrading.com. And that link is pinned right to the top of the live chat and in the description of the video for you watching the replay game. What were you saying? Marlena?
Oh,
no.
I just said thank you so much, Palm, and everybody. There's a wonderful Zoom meeting today. Very, very informative. Very helpful.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, everybody have a good night. Thank you, F2 and Ange, James, as always, for joining us. Marlena, thank you for coming in and taking it up. And special shout out to Palm for being here tonight. It was amazing. And I'm going to end with Coach's rules, as I normally do. And I want you guys to have a good night.
Thanks, Don. Good night,
Thank you. Everybody down there in the chat, peace and blessings. Thank you for being here.
You guys remember all the rules. You must follow all of them. Not some. You don't get to sprinkle in your own and leave mine out. You must follow all the rules. Always have a stop loss in each and every trade. If you're a new trader, make sure you are simulate trading only using a paper account. I don't want anybody losing their money while you are in training. Make sure you guys are using small position sizes. This will allow you to let those runners run and stop out the losers. Again, stops on every trade, regardless of shares, options, futures, or crypto. Make sure you guys are journaling every single day. It's one of the most important pieces of what we do on top of the risk management, so that you can help assess what you are doing and make the changes that you need to do. Don't trade in the first 30 minutes or the last hour of the day if you're a new trader. And if you are an experienced trader, please be careful the first 3 minutes or the last 8 minutes of the trading day.